He wanted solitude in his cabin, but the basement held a shackled alien woman with fire in her eyes. The blood was fresh. Ethan stood in the doorway of his cabin, snow melting off his boots onto pine floors he'd never walked before today. 6 hours of driving through a blizzard to reach this place, another hour hiking when his truck couldn't handle the mountain road. He'd bought the property sight unseen because it promised one thing: isolation. The crimson trail leading to the basement door promised something else entirely. His hand moved to the Glock at his hip before conscious thought caught up. 12 years of fieldwork had burned certain reflexes into muscle memory. He'd left the agency, left the ops, left the whole damn life behind. But apparently life wasn't done with him. The basement door stood ajar, blood on the handle smeared like someone had grabbed it with a wounded hand. The trail continued down wooden stairs into darkness. His flashlight cut through the black and found her. Ethan's breath stopped. She hung from chains bolted into the concrete wall, wrists suspended above her head, toes barely touching the floor. The woman's skin was green, not painted, not diseased, but naturally emerald like living jade. Lean and powerful, muscles defined under skin that bore dozens of fresh wounds. Cuts, burns, bruises painted a story of systematic torture. 2 large bat-like ears swept back from her skull, twitching toward the sound of his footsteps. High cheekbones, full lips pulled back in a snarl showing sharp canines. And her eyes, amber with vertical pupils that tracked him with predatory precision. Not human, couldn't be human. "The hell," he breathed. Her ears swiveled forward. When she spoke, her voice was raw, but the words were clear English. "Come to finish it?" Ethan's gun stayed level, trained center mass. His mind raced through possibilities, each more insane than the last. None of it explained the chains. Military grade, tungsten carbide, the kind of restraints used for high-value targets in black sites. He'd seen those chains before, used them before. "Does it matter?" She shifted, and the chains clinked. Fresh blood ran down her arms from where the manacles bit into her wrists. Despite everything, she held herself with rigid pride. Ethan lowered the gun slightly. "It matters if they're coming back." Something flickered in those amber eyes. "They won't be back. Their payment was delivered." "Payment for what?" "Leaving me alive long enough for the real hunters to arrive." She said it like discussing weather. Ethan's training screamed warnings. Unknown entity, unknown capabilities, unknown threat level. Standard protocol. Call it in, maintain distance, wait for extraction. Except he'd burned those protocols along with his career, and the nearest phone signal was 6 miles down a mountain. He approached slowly. The restraints were electronically locked, indicator lights blinking red. Professional work. The concrete around the bolts was freshly poured, reinforced, probably with rebar. Someone had prepared this prison specifically. The woman watched him, body tensing despite the chains. Up close he could see shallow breathing, ribs probably cracked. A plasma burn scorched her left shoulder, edges cauterized but infected. "How long have you been down here?" 4 weeks, maybe 5. Her ears flattened against her skull. Time becomes difficult. 4 weeks. The cabin had been listed as abandoned for 3 months. Someone had been using it as a holding cell. Ethan holstered his gun. "I'm getting medical supplies." "Why?" The question caught him off guard. "Because you're bleeding." "I'm your enemy, my people and yours." "Lady, I don't even know what your people are." He climbed the stairs, mind cataloging what he'd need. His go bag had combat gauze, antiseptic, antibiotics. The kitchen yielded water bottles from a case he'd brought. He grabbed a camp lantern and returned to the basement. She hadn't moved, couldn't move, but her eyes tracked him as he set down the supplies. "This is going to hurt," he said, uncapping a water bottle. "Everything hurts." Ethan moistened a clean cloth and reached for her arm. She flinched when he made contact, whole body going rigid. "I'm not going to hurt you." "Everyone hurts me." The words came out flat, emotionless, worse than anger. He'd heard that tone before, in prisoners who'd given up hope. "Yeah, well, new management." He started cleaning the wounds on her wrists. She didn't pull away, but he felt her muscles coiled like steel cables, ready to strike if he gave her reason. Her skin was warm, warmer than human, and smooth except where scarred. "You speak English well," he said. "Intercepted transmissions. Your planet broadcasts constantly." Her voice carried an accent he couldn't place. "I had little else to do while imprisoned." "How long were you imprisoned before here?" 6 months on a Dominion ship. Before that, I was free." Dominion. The word meant nothing to him, but the way she said it carried weight. He moved to her shoulders where the plasma burn looked worst. His fingers brushed the edge and she hissed, ears pinning flat. "Sorry. Don't apologize, just finish." Ethan worked in silence, cleaning what he could reach. The wounds told a story. Methodical torture, designed to cause maximum pain without killing. "What's your name?" he asked. She studied him for a long moment. Those amber eyes seemed to look straight through him. "Sera." "Ethan," he capped the antiseptic. "Sera, those chains have electronic locks. I can probably crack them, but I need to know, if I let you go, are you going to kill me?" "Do you plan to sell me to the Dominion?" "I don't even know what that is." "Then no, I won't kill you," she paused, "unless you try to stop me from leaving." Honest, at least. "I'm not stopping anyone. This is supposed to be my retirement cabin. I came here to be alone." "Then you chose poorly." Sera's lips curved in something that might have been a smile. "Because in approximately 36 hours, this location will be swarming with mercenaries, Imperial hunters, and possibly a Dominion warship." Ethan's hand froze on the medical kit. "Say that again." "Your cabin, Ethan Bridger, is built directly on top of a weapons cache my people died protecting. The Dominion has spent 2 decades searching for it." She met his gaze without flinching. "They finally found it, and they're coming to claim it." Everything he'd run from, every instinct he'd tried to bury, roared back to life. "You're telling me I bought a property on an alien weapons depot?" "Yes, and hostile forces are inbound." "Yes, 36 hours. Perhaps less, the storm may have delayed them." Sera's chains rattled as she shifted weight. "I suggest you run, Ethan Bridger. Run far and fast, forget you ever saw me." He should. Every bit of self-preservation screamed at him to grab his gear and disappear. Let this be someone else's problem. He'd earned his solitude, paid for it in blood and nightmares. But the blood on the floor was still fresh, and those amber eyes, despite everything, still burned with defiance. Ethan pulled out his multi-tool, flipped to the screwdriver attachment. "I'm going to need you to tell me everything about these weapons, and then we're going to figure out how to make sure whoever's coming regrets the trip." For the first time since he'd entered the basement, Sera smiled. A real smile, sharp and fierce and entirely dangerous. "I think I may have misjudged your species, Ethan Bridger." "Yeah," he muttered, examining the electronic lock mechanism. "I get that a lot." Dawn light crept through the basement windows. Ethan had worked through the night on the electronic locks, but they were military spec, encrypted beyond his capabilities. He needed bolt cutters from his truck. "You should go now," Sera said. Her voice startled him after hours of silence. "And leave you chained?" "The storm is getting worse. Wait much longer, and you won't make it down the mountain." She was right. Snow fell thick and fast, visibility near zero, but something in her voice, resignation, made him pause. "I'll be back in 4 hours." "You don't owe me anything." "No," he said, meeting those amber eyes, "but I owe myself something." The hike was brutal. Wind cut through his jacket, ice formed in his beard. When he returned with bolt cutters, Sera's eyes widened. "You came back." "Said I would." The chains parted with a sharp crack. She fell forward and he caught her, body colliding with his. Warm, solid muscle barely restrained. She pulled away immediately, stood despite the tremor in her legs. "Thank you." "Can you walk?" "Yes." 3 steps, and her knee buckled. She caught herself on the wall, breathing hard, waved him off when he moved to help. While she stretched circulation back into her limbs, he examined the basement. Reinforced walls, fresh concrete, industrial generator, everything wrong for a hunting cabin. "Where's this weapons cache?" Sera limped to the far corner, hand finding a hidden seam in the concrete. She pressed her palm flat. "Nothing happened. Lock requires my biometric signature, but I'm too weak." How do we fix that? Food, water, time we don't have. Upstairs, he grabbed protein bars and water. She ate mechanically, efficiently. Between bites, she explained. Her people, the Cathari, were warriors who refused to submit when the Dominion Empire demanded tribute. 30 years of war. The Cathari lost. We scattered, small groups across the galaxy trying to survive. And the weapons? My unit's ship crashed here 23 years ago. We buried what we salvaged. Her ears twitched. Most died in the crash. The survivors tried to blend in. 23 years. Ethan would have been 12. No rumors, no government cover-ups he'd heard about. How did they find you? I got careless. Used Cathari technology where someone was watching. The Dominion tracked me, tortured me for access codes I didn't break. Try the scanner again. This time something clicked. Concrete swung inward, revealing stairs descending deeper. Stale air wafted up. Ethan's flashlight revealed a chamber lined with weapons. Sleek designs that looked grown rather than manufactured. Most dark, inactive. A few glowed with faint bioluminescence. Sera descended with more confidence. She lifted a rifle, checked it with practiced efficiency. It powered on at her touch. She aimed at the far wall and fired. Superheated plasma left a scorch mark on stone. Ethan picked up a pistol, warm, almost alive. Will these work for me? Cathari weapons are biometrically locked. She pressed something on its side. But I can override that. When he gripped it again, the weapon hummed to life. Energy thrummed through the grip. Aim and squeeze. He pointed at a rusted toolbox and fired. The box exploded into molten slag. They spent an hour inventorying what worked. Most damaged or depleted, but enough remained functional. Sera explained each weapon. Ethan countered with human tactics, perimeter defenses, kill zones, terrain advantages. She listened intently, asked intelligent questions, saw angles he hadn't considered. Your people fight smart, she said, loading a bandolier. Cathari doctrine emphasizes honor single combat. We never learn to fight dirty. Dirty fighting is why humans survive. We're stubborn. They carried weapons upstairs, arranging them strategically. Military training merged with alien technology, motion sensors paired with Cathari proximity mines. While working, they talked. Ethan told her about Syria, about missions that left scars deeper than flesh. Sera spoke of her homeworld, 2 suns, red skies, cities carved into canyons, the day the Dominion fleet appeared. Her voice cracked once, describing her mother's last stand. She told me to run, gave me her command codes, and pushed me toward escape tunnels. I was 17. How old now? 39 of your years. She glanced at him. You? 38. You move old when working, but your eyes are young. The motion sensor chirped. His hand went to his Remington. Sera moved to the window, ears swiveling. The weakness was gone, replaced by lethal grace. 3 vessels, entering atmosphere, landing within the hour. Ethan checked their defenses, limited ammunition, untested weapons, 0 backup, against professional mercenaries with orbital support. Sera came up behind him close enough that he felt her body heat. When he turned, amber eyes searched his face. Why are you doing this? You could still run. They're coming to my property. There's more to it. There was. That mix of adrenaline and purpose he'd thought gone forever. The way something shifted when he'd seen her chained but unbeaten. Instead of answering, he reached up and touched her face. Green skin smooth under his calloused palm. She didn't pull away. Her hand covered his, strong enough to crush bone but gentle. Ethan. His name in her accent. He pulled her closer and she came willingly. The kiss was desperate and hungry. 2 people who'd forgotten hope suddenly remembering. Her mouth hot, body pressed against his. The proximity alarm shrieked. Multiple contacts closing fast. Sera pulled away, snatched her rifle. Ethan grabbed his Remington and moved to the window. 3 ships descended through storm clouds, sleek, predatory. They landed in the clearing, ramps extending. Figures emerged, moving with military precision. Sera's hand found his shoulder squeezed once. The first mercenary stepped into range and Ethan's world narrowed to breath control, trigger squeeze, and the cold mathematics of violence. The first shot came from Ethan's Remington. Clean headshot at 300 yards, the mercenary dropping. The others scattered, seeking cover behind their landing gear. East side, 2 moving to flank, Sera called, her ears tracking sounds he couldn't hear. Ethan swung right, found his target through the scope, exhaled and squeezed. Another body in the snow. Plasma fire answered, punching holes through the cabin's wall. Wood exploded into splinters. Sera returned fire from the window, her rifle spitting bolts that turned trees into torches. "They're probing defenses," Ethan said. "Professional. Dominion mercenaries, best in the sector. Then they haven't fought humans." He triggered the first proximity mine. The explosion caught 3 mercenaries in the trees, throwing bodies like rag dolls. The assault paused. Ethan relocated, Sera covering him. They'd planned for this, constant motion, never staying still. The cabin became a maze of firing angles and death. A mercenary breached the back door. Sera met him close, her style brutal and efficient. She flowed around his weapon, claws, he hadn't noticed them before, raking across his throat. The mercenary dropped. "Behind you!" Ethan spun, brought up the Cathari pistol. 2 more through the doorway. He fired twice, plasma punching through armor. Bodies fell backward. "Upstairs," Sera said, already moving. From the 2nd floor, they had clear sightlines. Ethan counted 12 mercenaries still standing, regrouping near their ships. Plasma fire raked the windows. Ethan ducked, glass raining down. When he rose, a new figure stood among the mercenaries. Taller, wearing Cathari armor, but modified. The figure removed his helmet. Green skin, bat-like ears, sharp aristocratic features. Sera went rigid. The rifle trembled in her hands. "No." "Who is that?" "Kade, my second in command." The name came out like poison. "I trusted him with everything." Kade's voice boomed across the clearing, amplified. "Sera, send out the human and I'll make your death quick. You have my word as a warrior." "Your word means nothing," Sera shouted back. "I'm offering mercy more than the Dominion gives," Kade gestured. "These humans, they're primitives, savages who'll betray you when convenient, just like your mother betrayed our people by refusing to negotiate." Sera's hand tightened on her rifle. "My mother died protecting our world." "Your mother died for pride, honor that fed no one, protected no one." Kade's voice carried contempt. "I'm building something better, an empire where Cathari survive by being useful, not extinct by being stubborn." Ethan touched Sera's shoulder. She was shaking. "He's trying to get in your head," he said quietly. "Don't let him. He knows every move I'll make, every technique. I can't beat him. Good thing we're not doing single combat." Ethan triggered 3 mines. Explosions created a wall of fire and smoke. He grabbed a long-range rifle. "When the smoke clears, he'll expect you to charge. Cathari honor demands it, right?" Sera nodded, understanding dawning. "So we do the opposite." They moved down back stairs, out through the cellar exit. Snow bit exposed skin as they circled through forest, using the cabin as cover. Ethan led, reading terrain. Sera followed, silent. They came up behind Kade's position. Mercenaries focused on the cabin, waiting for Sera's expected assault. Kade stood apart, confident. Ethan set up the shot from 200 yards, prone behind a log. Sera crouched beside him. "When I fire, they'll scatter, pick targets. Kade is mine. He's mine if I get a clean shot. Doesn't matter who drops him." She looked at him, something fierce in her expression, nodded. Ethan controlled his breathing, found Kade in the scope, center mass between armor plates, squeezed. The plasma bolt caught Kade in the side, spinning him. Not a kill, the armor held, but enough to hurt. Kade's roar carried across the clearing. Sera opened fire, dropping 3 mercenaries. Ethan fired again. The mercenaries broke, training overridden. Some ran for ships, others returned fire wildly. Kade limped toward the cabin. His armor sparked where Ethan's shot penetrated, hurt, vulnerable. Sera stood, rifle falling. "Stay here," she said. "Sera." But she was already moving, charging with impossible speed. Kade saw her, drew a blade crackling with energy. They met in the clearing, weapons clashing like thunder. Ethan provided covering fire, keeping mercenaries pinned. But his attention kept pulling to Sera and Kade, their fight too fast to track. Kade was bigger, stronger. Each blow drove Sera back. He'd trained her, knew her patterns, anticipated her moves. "Predictable," Kade snarled, knocking her blade aside. "Just like your mother, too proud to adapt." His blade came around in a killing arc. Sera tried to block but wasn't fast enough. The blade bit deep into her side, cutting through armor and flesh. She cried out, stumbling. Blood, deep purple, spread across her torso. "No!" Ethan's shout tore from his throat. He was already running, pistol in hand. Kade raised his blade for the finish, triumph on his face. Sera looked up, smiled through pain, then did something Ethan taught her. Something unpredictable. She grabbed snow and threw it in Kade's face. Kade recoiled, surprised. In that half-second, Sera drove her claws up through the gap in his armor, under his chin, into his brain. Kade's eyes went wide. He opened his mouth, but only blood came. Sera twisted, and he fell, hitting snow with a wet thud. She collapsed a moment later. Ethan reached her, sliding to his knees. The wound was bad, deep. Her breathing came shallow and fast. "Sera, stay with me." "Did I adapt?" "Yeah, you adapted." He pressed hands against the wound. "Don't talk, save your strength." The remaining mercenaries were fleeing, climbing into ships. Engines whined. They weren't staying without their commander. Ethan lifted Sera, carried her toward the cabin. She was heavy, but adrenaline gave him strength. Inside, he laid her by the fireplace. Her eyes were unfocused, skin paler than before. "The cache," she whispered. "Beacon, activate it." "I'm not leaving you." "Please," her hand found his. "Call my people home. Let something good come from this." He wanted to argue, but the blood pooling beneath her was spreading too fast. Human medical supplies wouldn't work on Ketheri physiology. She needed her own people. "Tell me how." Sera's directions came in gasps between shallow breaths. Third weapon rack, green panel, her handprint plus a code. Ethan memorized it, kissed her forehead, and ran. The cache felt colder now, or maybe that was just fear. He found the panel, pressed her blood-slicked handprint against it, his hand over the ghost of hers, punched in the code. The panel slid open, revealing a crystalline device pulsing with dim light. "Activate," she'd said. He pressed the center. The device blazed to life, light cycling through colors he had no names for. A hum built, rising in pitch until it passed beyond his hearing. Above, through layers of earth and snow, something launched skyward. The beacon. Ethan ran back upstairs. Sera lay where he'd left her, eyes closed. For one terrible moment, he thought she was gone. Then her chest rose, fell. He knelt beside her, peeling away her damaged armor. The wound was worse than he'd thought. Kade's blade had carved through muscle, possibly nicked something vital. Purple blood soaked through the bandages as fast as he applied them. Sera, look at me." Her eyes opened, pupils blown wide from shock. "Is it done?" "It's done. The beacon's active." He pressed harder on the wound. "How long until your people arrive?" "Hours, maybe days," she coughed, purple flecking her lips. "Too long." "Don't talk like that." "Ethan," her hand found his face, fingers cold against his skin. "I need you to understand something." "Save your strength." "Listen." Intensity burned in her amber eyes despite the pain. "Kade was right about one thing. My people, we're rigid, bound by honor and tradition until it kills us. That's why we lost the war. That's why we're scattered." "You beat him. You adapted." "Because of you." Her thumb traced his cheekbone. "You showed me another way. Humans don't fight fair. You fight to win, to survive. There's honor in that, too." Ethan swallowed hard. Her skin was cooling, body temperature dropping. He needed to keep her warm, keep her talking, keep her here. "You're not dying today. I didn't carry you through a blizzard just to lose you now." "Always so stubborn." "You have no idea." He left her long enough to grab blankets, build up the fire. When he returned, her breathing had grown more labored. He wrapped her carefully, mindful of the wound, and pulled her against his chest, sharing body heat, giving her what little he could. "Tell me about your homeworld," he said, "the parts that didn't burn." Sera's voice came quiet, dreamy with blood loss. "The canyons, miles deep, carved by wind over millennia. We built cities into the walls, homes that caught both suns at dawn." She paused, gathering strength. "There were gardens. My mother grew night-blooming flowers. They only opened under the smaller sun, petals like silver fire." "Sounds beautiful." "It was." Her hand found his, fingers lacing together. "She used to take me there when the palace became too much, taught me the names of every plant, every constellation. said a warrior who only knows fighting is just a weapon, but a warrior who knows beauty is a protector. Ethan held her tighter. Her blood soaked through his shirt, warm and wet. He'd seen enough wounds to know she was dying, but he'd also seen enough miracles to refuse accepting it. What would she think of you now? She'd be furious I got captured, proud I escaped, confused about the human. Sera's laugh turned into a cough. She never trusted other species, said they'd always betray us eventually. And what do you think? She turned her head, amber eyes meeting his. I think she was wrong. I think she died because she couldn't see past her own certainty. Sera's hand tightened on his. You could have run, should have run. Instead, you stayed, fought beside me, kissed me like I was worth more than my bloodline. You are worth more. To you, maybe. To my people, I'm the last of the royal line, a symbol, a genetic legacy. Bitterness crept into her voice. That's why Kade wanted me dead. Not personal hatred, political necessity. Can't sell weapons to the Dominion if there's a princess around to unite resistance. Ethan understood political machinations, the calculus of power. He'd been part of them often enough, the knife in the dark that shifted balances. But this felt different, more personal. When your people arrive, what happens? They'll want me to lead them, rebuild, start planning the next war. She coughed again harder. I'm not sure I can, not anymore. Because I've seen another way, your way. Surviving isn't about honor or glory. It's about choosing what matters and protecting it, even if that means fighting dirty, even if that means walking away. Her breathing hitched. Ethan checked the bandages, soaked through again. He applied fresh ones, knowing it was futile, but unable to stop. Giving up meant accepting her death, and he wasn't ready for that. Stay with me, Sera? I'm trying. Hours crawled past. The fire burned down, and Ethan rebuilt it. Sera drifted in and out of consciousness, sometimes lucid, sometimes delirious. She spoke in her native language, words he couldn't understand, but whose pain translated clearly. He held her through all of it. Dawn light filtered through broken windows. Sera's eyes opened, clearer than they'd been in hours. Then, I'm here. If I don't make it, you're making it. If I don't, she insisted, the beacon will still call them home. Tell them. She paused, searching for words. Tell them their princess learned something worth dying for, that humans are worth knowing. Tell them yourself. She smiled, sad and knowing. Kiss me, please. I want to remember what hope feels like. Ethan leaned down, pressed his lips to hers. Gentle this time, not desperate. Her mouth was cold, but she kissed him back, hand coming up to cup his face. When they parted, tears tracked down her cheeks. Thank you for everything. Don't thank me yet, we're not done. But her eyes were closing again, body going slack in his arms. Her pulse fluttered weak and erratic beneath his fingers. He held her tighter as if physical grip could anchor her soul. Sera, don't you dare. A sound outside, Ethan's head snapped up. Not mercenaries, they'd fled. This was different. A whine of engines, but not human. He laid Sera down carefully, grabbed the Cathari pistol, and moved to the window. A ship descended through morning light, larger than the mercenary vessels, its hull marked with symbols he didn't recognize. The hatch opened and figures emerged, Cathari, 4 of them, armed and moving with military precision. The one in front removed their helmet, female, older, with scars crossing her face and gray threading through her dark hair. Royal beacon activated, she called out in accented English. We are Cathari survivors. We seek Princess Sera. Ethan's breath caught. Help. Finally help. He appeared in the doorway, pistol lowered but ready. She's inside, critically wounded. She needs medical attention now. The woman's eyes widened. She barked orders, and 2 Cathari rushed forward carrying equipment. They moved past Ethan, professional and efficient, and knelt beside Sera. Blade wound, deep, she's lost too much blood. Can you save her? The woman looked up at him, measuring. We can try. Who are you? Ethan Bridger, this is my property. You activated the beacon? She told me how, I just followed instructions. And fought beside her from the bodies outside. The woman stood, respect in her bearing. I am Rowan. I served under her mother. We've been searching for her for months. The medical team worked on Sera, injecting something that made her body convulse before steadying. They applied field dressings far more advanced than anything Ethan had. Her color started returning, breathing deepening. Will she live? If we get her to the ship, yes, we have full medical facilities. Relief crashed through Ethan, nearly buckling his knees. Sera would live. She'd survive. Rowan's eyes tracked his reaction, sharp and assessing. You care for her? It wasn't a question, but Ethan answered anyway. Yes. The princess has always been worth caring for. Rowan looked at Sera's unconscious form. But she never let anyone close. What changed? Ethan thought about that. About chains breaking and tactics shared. About fighting dirty and kissing desperate and holding her while she bled. She learned to adapt, he said finally, and I learned what I was willing to fight for. They carried Sera to the ship on a medical stretcher, her body stabilized but still unconscious. Ethan followed, unwilling to leave her side. Rowan walked beside him, studying the destroyed cabin, the mercenary bodies, the tactical setup. You did this with minimal resources, she said. Sera did most of it. I just provided local knowledge. Modesty doesn't suit you, human. I've seen enough battlefields to recognize professional work. Rowan gestured at the kill zones, the overlapping fields of fire. This is asymmetric warfare, not Cathari doctrine. No, it's how humans survive. Inside the ship, the medical bay hummed with technology that made Earth's hospitals look primitive. Sera lay in a pod filled with purple gel, her wounds already starting to knit together. Monitors displayed data Ethan couldn't read, but the medical team seemed satisfied. She'll sleep for several hours, one of them said. The wound was severe, but repairable. Ethan sank into a chair beside the pod, exhaustion finally catching up. He'd been running on adrenaline for 36 hours. Now that Sera was safe, his body remembered it needed rest. Rowan appeared with something that looked like coffee, but smelled like cinnamon. Drink, it'll help. He sipped cautiously. Not coffee, but caffeinated. The warmth spread through his chest, pushing back the fatigue. Thank you. The princess spoke of you, in her transmissions before capture. Rowan settled into the opposite chair. She said she'd found something unusual, a human who understood what it meant to lose everything but keep fighting. She said that? She did, said you reminded her why we're worth saving. Rowan's scarred face softened. I didn't understand then. I do now. They sat in silence, watching Sera breathe. The medical pod's lights cycled through soothing colors. Outside the viewing port, more Cathari ships arrived. Smaller vessels, dozens of them, answering the beacon's call. Survivors scattered across the galaxy, finally coming home. What happens now? Ethan asked. We rebuild, find a world unclaimed by the Dominion, start again. Rowan's voice carried weight. The princess will lead us. Royal blood matters to our people. It's all that unites the scattered survivors. And if she doesn't want to lead? She doesn't have a choice. Duty isn't optional for royalty. Ethan thought about that. About chains, different kinds, some made of metal, others of obligation and bloodline. Sera had escaped one prison only to face another. She deserves better than that. She deserves many things. But we need her. Rowan met his eyes. Unless you think she should abandon her people for a human? The challenge was clear. Ethan could have bristled, gotten defensive. Instead, he looked at Sera's peaceful face through the pod's transparent surface. I think she should get to choose. For once in her life, make a decision that's hers. Rowan studied him for a long moment, then nodded, something like respect in her expression. You might be good for her after all. Hours passed. More Cathari arrived, filling the ship with reunion and grief and cautious hope. They gathered in the common area, sharing stories of survival. Ethan stayed in medical, unwilling to leave Sera alone. Finally, the pod drained. The lid opened with a hiss. Sera's eyes fluttered, then opened. Amber finding him immediately. Ethan! Hey! He took her hand, warm now instead of cold. Welcome back. I'm alive. Yeah, your people arrived, got you stabilized just in time. She sat up slowly, testing her body. The wound had closed, leaving only a fresh scar across her side, purple against green, a permanent reminder. Dead, you killed him. Good, no satisfaction in her voice, just finality. The others? Fled when he fell, the beacon worked. Cathari's ships are still arriving. Sera's ears perked up, swiveling toward the door. She could hear them, her people, gathering, waiting, her shoulders tensed. They'll want me to lead. Rowan mentioned that. I can't say no. They need the royal bloodline to unite them. Without it, we're just scattered refugees. She looked at him, conflict clear in her expression. But I don't know if I can be what they need. Why not? Because I've changed. Fighting beside you, learning your tactics. I'm not the warrior princess they remember. I'm something else now. Ethan squeezed her hand. Then be something else. Show them what you learned, that adapting isn't weakness, it's survival. They won't understand. Make them understand. You beat Kade by fighting dirty. Use that, teach them. Sera searched his face, looking for something. Whatever she found made her lean forward, pressing her forehead to his. They stayed like that, breathing together while the ship hummed around them. Come with me, she whispered. Ethan's heart stopped. What? Come with me, help me rebuild. Teach us how humans fight, how they survive against superior forces. She pulled back, amber eyes bright. I can't do this alone, and I don't want to. Everything he'd come to the cabin for flashed through his mind. Isolation, peace, escape from violence and missions and moral compromises, a quiet life in the mountains, alone with his ghosts. But he'd been alone in that basement when he found her, and in the hours since, fighting beside her, holding her while she bled, he hadn't felt alone. He'd felt purpose, connection, something worth protecting. I don't speak your language, don't know your culture. I'm a human in an alien society. Yes, it'll be complicated. Your people might not accept me. Probably. I've done things, bad things, in the agency. I'm not a good man, Sera. She touched his face, claws retracted, fingers gentle. Neither am I good. I've killed, conquered, done what duty demanded. We're both broken, Ethan, but maybe together we're less broken. He thought about his cabin, already destroyed in the fighting. Nothing left but memories and ashes. No job waiting, no family expecting him. Just an empty life he'd been trying to convince himself was enough. If I come, I'm not a guest, I'm a partner. Equal say in decisions. And I teach tactics my way. No honor codes restricting what works. Agreed. And this, he gestured between them. Whatever this is, we figure it out as we go. No expectations, no obligations. Sera smiled, sharp and fierce. Agreed. Ethan stood, pulled her to her feet. The door opened and Rowan entered, taking in their joined hands with knowing eyes. The survivors are gathered. They wish to see you, Princess. Sera straightened, royal bearings sliding into place despite the medical gown. But her hand stayed in Ethan's. Then let's not keep them waiting. They walked together into the common area. Dozens of Cathari turned, seeing their princess alive, seeing the human beside her. Whispers rippled through the crowd. Rowan stepped forward, dropped to one knee. Princess Sera, we await your command. Sera looked at them, her people, broken and scattered but still standing, then looked at Ethan, drew strength from his presence. Rise, Rowan, all of you rise. Her voice carried authority earned through pain. I've learned something in my captivity, something that will change how we rebuild. The crowd waited, expectant. We lost the war because we were rigid, because we valued honor over survival, tradition over adaptation. The Dominion crushed us because we wouldn't bend. She gestured to Ethan. This human taught me that survival means fighting smart, not fair, that adapting isn't betrayal, it's evolution. Murmurs spread. Rowan's expression remained neutral, but her eyes held calculation. I will lead you, Sera continued, but not as the princess you remember, as something new. We'll rebuild, but different, stronger. We'll learn from species like humanity, how to survive against impossible odds, how to win when winning seems absurd. She looked directly at Rowan. And this human comes with us, as my partner, my advisor, she paused, searching for the word, my choice. Silence. Then Rowan stood, placed her fist over her heart. If the princess commands it, we follow. But know this, human, her eyes locked on Ethan. Hurt her, betray her, and I'll kill you myself. Ethan met her gaze without flinching. Understood. One by one, the other Cathari followed Rowan's lead, accepting, if not entirely trusting. It was enough. Later, standing at the ship's viewport, watching Earth shrink below, Sera leaned against him. Having second thoughts. Constantly, Ethan admitted, but I've learned to ignore those. Good, because it's too late to back out now. I wasn't planning to. The stars stretched before them, infinite and cold. But inside the ship, surrounded by survivors who'd found each other against all odds, it felt warm, felt like possibility. Sera turned in his arms, kissed him slow and deep. When they parted, she smiled. Thank you for choosing this, for choosing me. Thanks for giving me something worth choosing. The ship jumped to hyperspace, carrying them toward whatever came next. Two broken people finding wholeness. Two warriors learning that strength came in many forms. Two survivors who'd discovered that sometimes the best battles were the ones you fought together. Behind them, Earth disappeared into the infinite dark. Ahead, an uncertain future. But for the first time in years, Ethan wasn't running from something. He was running toward it